So there seems to be a stage, we'll say, in me it was the end of my adolescence. It seems there's a stage where the memories of your childhood and everything, when they are dolorous, when there's pain associated with a lot of stuff, and you're going through troubles, which I mean all teenagers basically do. There seems to be a point where that memory can be switched off. And you have these flashes of memory when you're like 17 or so, and you're like, "Oh, I remember this thing," and you can try to search in your memory, and you're not quite sure that I remember this. Did this really happen? You're categorizing it. You're putting sort of like unpacking your memories and putting them in the right places. You know, if it was all messed up. Because if you had like a really tough like last year of high school, say, then you could. It seems to be like this switch that you can switch into this sort of stage where the trauma it's like traumatic, so your memory just shuts off. You know. But if you start going through it and remembering these things, and I'm telling you, 20 years later, you remember it even clearer than you did when you first wrote about it. Writing. So the point is, writing is a great way to do it, and to keep logs of your thoughts over the course of your life. Just start as soon as you start writing. Just keep logs. Now on a computer, you can have a USB flash drive, like a USB key drive that can have like 16 gigs, or whatever. It costs $10, and you can put all your in text format .txt. You could literally put millions of files in there. I mean, some of these files are so small. So I'm just saying, you know, there's a virtue. I did it for 20 years, like last 20 years since I was a teenager. I wasn't a digital native. Like I grew up in the analog world with telephones and radio and all that, very analog. Played the electric guitar, and you know. Now I'm coming back to about where I was, where I left off, into this sort of like split journey, this other path in the woods that I took, you know, the one less traveled by. Well, it turns out that it wasn't necessarily the best uh, path for me to take. Like there might have been millions of other possibilities, but I took this one. It was very hard. And so when I come back, I'm just saying, like I remember everything perfectly. A lot of people seem to not remember very detailed parts of their childhood and all that. And I remember it since birth. Like, what did I do differently? You know, well, I wrote it down. I rememorized it. When I was a kid, I used to just go to bed and try to think of what it was that I could remember from previously. Because when I remember when I was maybe 2 or something, I had this shocking experience where I was bitten in the face by a dog, and I was like, wow, like I actually can make memories. Like it was this realization that there's this weird thing in my head where I can remember something, and I found it so interesting that I just decided I would try to remember everything, and I ended up, you know, 20 or 30 years later that I do remember most of everything. It's not the exact dates, but I mean I remember, you know, my belly, the emotional experiences. I look at my face. I look like what's his name? He wrote Howl there, you know, with his crazy eye there and the glasses. Wait a second, what's this? Yeah, we're just logging right now. We're logging. What's his name? Not Andy. It's Alan Ginsberg there. Peace out, man. I'm Alan Ginsberg. Nice seeing you. I really mean victory.